Now, over the years, I've heard the following statements more times than I can count. My child is 5 and they're not reading yet. Should a 6-year-old already know this? Other children seem to be miles ahead of mine. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that these comments all point to the same common concern. Is my child where they're supposed to be? Now, age feels like the easiest way to measure progress. After all, age is clear, objective, easy to compare. Within the first year alone, parents are expecting their children to speak their first words, take their first steps. By 3 years old, most children can express themselves in full sentences. Even strangers can understand. Now, these are developmental milestones parents anxiously look for. But when it comes to learning to read, age is actually one of the least reliable indicators that a child is ready to read. Today, I want to explain why comparing reading development by age often creates unnecessary worry and what parents should be looking at instead. See, most schools group children by age groups for practical reasons. An orderly classroom, a structured curriculum, expected learning outcomes can be mapped out throughout the year. So naturally, parents begin associating reading ability with birthdays. But real development doesn't fit so neat and tidy from one month after the next. Children grow unevenly, and progress is not as predictable as some might expect. Physically, emotionally, academically, there's a lot to consider. Just the act of reading alone depends on multiple skills and abilities that have to align themselves simultaneously from one second to the next. And not every child masters these skills at an even pace. Many parents imagine a specific moment when reading should begin, and I get it. Now, you have parents posting videos of their child reading at 2 years old, and they have the gall to tell you, well, there's no excuse why yours shouldn't either. The nerve of these people. How far is this going to go? My fetus can read, why can't yours? Ignore them all. Most experienced classroom teachers see things from a different vantage point, and there's peace of mind to be found in what they observe year after year. With anywhere from 10 to 30 students in a room, it's a lot easier to spot examples of children the same age displaying completely different reading profiles. Now, over the years, I've narrowed it down to 5 common profiles. Now, one may decode earlier but struggle with comprehension later. Another may take sweet forever to get started, and then suddenly something clicks and they're off gobbling down one book after the next. Neither of these pathways predict long-term success alone. There are too many twists and turns along the way, making it painfully obvious that reading development isn't a series of predictable outcomes we can pin down to a certain age. Now, are we asking too much too early? Remember how I said there were certain skills needed to make reading possible? Readiness depends on several interacting abilities like language development, phonological awareness, attention regulation, working memory, and emotional confidence. Each develops along its own timeline. Age measures time. It does not measure how all these moving parts come together into one fluid motion. Now, if some of these moving parts are not developing efficiently enough, reading will require that much more extra effort. Now, this may surprise many parents. Even if it appears that your child has picked it up early, like they're really getting there, this head start does not automatically produce confident lifelong readers. Some early readers rely heavily on memory and pattern recognition. Intelligent children are even better at developing compensation strategies like guessing and taking visual cues from the artwork. But all that comes crashing down when the pictures disappear completely, and the sheer volume of text makes guessing that many words next to impossible. Now, on the flip side, children who begin slightly later often develop stronger decoding foundations up front. They don't feel pressure to perform either. Instead of word count and speed, the emphasis is placed on learning decoding skills that will help them solve word puzzles rather than compensate with strategies that will eventually fail and erode their self-confidence. Once learning begins at the right time, all we need to do is employ the right letter-sound mapping strategies, and progress will accelerate quicker than you might have imagined. This is yet another compelling reason why future outcomes based on age are not realistic in the least. Now, the statements we heard at the outset tell me one thing for sure. Those parents were caught in the comparison trap. Comparing your child to another or to age expectations introduces pressure, into the learning environment. These moms and dads have perceived a deficiency. As a loving parent, they act on it. They may unintentionally increase the number of lessons they teach or the length of those lessons in an effort to catch up. Children can sense that new sense of urgency they haven't seen before, and they can feel that the mood, it's changing. Reading begins to feel judged rather than an exploration of new words and a chance to connect meaningfully with their favorite books. When anxiety takes root, you can be guaranteed that the brain will enter protection mode, and when that happens, learning efficiency takes a nosedive. Ironically, comparison intended to help children succeed becomes progress poison. Instead of focusing on age, experienced educators look for developmental signals instead. Can the child hear a difference between sounds? Attention span and focus are huge. And do they keep a level head during challenges? Are they curious about print? These indicators reveal readiness far more accurately than chronological age. Now, here is another phenomenon that might throw you off balance. Parents frequently observe sudden bursts of growth followed by quiet periods. Now, this pattern is normal. Don't worry, their progress hasn't suddenly fallen off a cliff. Their brain is simply taking a moment to consolidate learning between visible signs of progress. Think of it like our need to sleep while the brain takes time to make sense of the day's events. There is a lot going on while we sleep, and we have no idea what's happening behind the scenes. Your child has reached a moment where the mind is asking for a short time out, but what escapes your watchful eye is that reading development is still in progress. Comparing your child's progress during these consolidation timeouts is guaranteed to create unnecessary concern. So instead of asking, at what age should my child be reading, consider asking, is my child developing the skills that support reading? This shift reduces pressure and allows instruction to align with developmental readiness. Learning becomes calmer. Confidence increases. Progress follows naturally. One of the greatest gifts parents can offer is to trust in their child's unique developmental journey. Now, as cliche as it might sound, every child learns differently. I've taught over 600 children and have witnessed firsthand with each and every one that their reading journey was uniquely their own. And many times, success would poke through challenges when I least expected it. Struggle, and then boom, they got it. Timelines meant daily squat. Should that child be reading by now? There was no point in asking that question. I needed to direct my energy toward finding a learning connection and just patiently guide them along. It's all I could do. Every year, every class, and every student was a mixed bag of abilities and emotions that always kept me on my toes. Your role is not to match another child's pace, not even a sibling. When your child can feel that you're on board with their timing and the timing it takes to master new skills, you'd be surprised at the extra effort they start putting in. At least you don't have a whole classroom full of unique learning pathways to keep track of. That wasn't easy, and it wasn't always a walk in the park. So if you've been comparing or gauging your child's reading progress to age expectations, you can tell that needless worry to take a hike. Age does not determine reading readiness. True readiness, confidence, and supportive instruction matter so much more. Do you remember when I talked about the 5 reading profiles earlier? They reveal so much about how a child learns. Now, would you like a better idea of where your child is at right now in their reading journey? Well, when we can take a realistic snapshot of where they are now, we can establish a solid starting point. And from there, we can recalibrate and map out goals and milestones tailored to the way your child learns best. So I've created a reading assessment to help you do just that. The best part is it's super easy and it's free. You'll find it linked in the description below. And remember, reading is not a race measured by birthdays. It's a skill that grows when development and opportunity meet. As always, stay wonderful, and I'll see you again real soon.